Hey everybody, welcome to Active Self-Protection Extra. Today, I ran across an interesting article in Outdoor Life about the best defensive ammunition and what you should carry in each caliber. It was written by a titan of the industry, and I want to talk about it a little bit.
Lucky Gunner is my recommended trusted provider of freedom seeds for range or defensive use. In stock, good prices, and rocket fast shipping are why I go back again and again. Because of new guidelines, I can't link their site or say it, but you're smart and you can find it with a simple Google search. Stick it to the man by paying them a visit today.
Man, I get it. This is one of those topics where, opinions are like rear ends. Everybody has one, and most of them are full of poop, as it were, right? I'm being nice there. But of course, if you've been around the shooting and hunting space, outdoor space, you know who Richard Mann is. I mean, the guy's been writing for Field and Stream for decades, and he's hunted the entire world, knows a thing or two about the hunting space for sure. And if I was certainly looking for hunting advice, I absolutely would go to Richard in a heartbeat. Now, he says in his bio that he has some military and law enforcement background as well, though that's not elucidated how much. And again, I don't have any details there. But all I want to say on that, respected guy, he's been a gun writer for a long time, and he actually has some really interesting stuff. I put a link to the article in the description, so go read it in Outdoor Life. It's a good article, right? So it at least makes me think. And if you've been a follower of Active Self-Protection Extra for any length of time, you know that I say that in terms of our defensive ammunition and what we carry, this is an administrative decision. This is something that we make by the cool light of reason, right? This isn't like, you're going to have to figure it out in the moment and just make it happen. Nah, man, you should really work through this stuff. Now, if you're a cop, you don't have any choice. They issue you a gun, or they tell you the guns that you can use, and they issue you the ammunition that you're going to put in it, and you're going to put that freaking ammunition in there no matter what. Okay, fine. And I also know, I'm just going to be real blunt about this, that no ammunition will help you if you are bad at shooting. If you miss, nothing is going to help you, okay? But if you get your hits, the most important thing is that you hit your target, because even if you do that with full metal jacket ammunition that's not defensive ammo, it'll likely do the job for you, okay? So, I mean, it will very often do the job for you. So, I mean, we see people that are killed with super suboptimal ammunition all the time. I like to tell this story about my good friend Thomas Yoxel, who I love with all of my heart, and he worked for ASP for some time. And he was in one of the most righteous defensive shootings ever. And Thomas, he came to the range and we were working on some stuff, and I saw the defensive ammo that he was carrying in his gun, and I was like, dude, this is not ideal stuff. Let's replace that with some better stuff for you. And he was like, okay, cool, man, no problem. That's great. I appreciate it. Although those ones worked on the guy I had to shoot, and that's hard to argue with, okay, cool, man. Let's, stack the odds ever more in our favor. So without further ado, I want to talk about, Richard gave us a recommendation and then gave a little paragraph as to why for each round, for each caliber, I should say, right? So what we're going to see first is he started off in .327 Federal Magnum, which I thought was kind of cool because not many people are talking about .327 Magnum in defensive loads. And in that, he recommended the Speer Gold Dot 115 grain load. All right, that's interesting. Moving on to .380, which not many people carry anymore, but some do. He recommends the 102 grain Remington Golden Saber. Was an interesting choice. We'll talk about that in a minute. For .38 Special, the 135 grain Speer Gold Dots. All right, I'm interested in that. In .357 Magnum, though, he recommends 125 grain Sig Sauer Elite V Crowns. Okay, that's a cool load. Talk about this one in a bit. At 9mm, he recommends the Sig 124 grain V Crown Elite, which I thought was an interesting choice. And in plus P, he recommends the 124 grain Golden Saber, the Remington Golden Saber plus P. Okay, we'll talk about those in a minute. In 40, he recommends the Hornady 165 grain Critical Defense and also the 165 grain Federal HydroShock, which is a very interesting choice. In 40 by God 5, in the caliber of God, He recommends the double tap 165 grain TAC XTP man load because, of course, that's the one he asked them to design. So they designed it for him and put his name on it. So, of course, that's what he is going to recommend there, of course. But he also in 45 Auto recommends the 200 grain Federal HST, which means at least he knows that the HST is out there. Okay. You know, I think, again, at the end of the day, which one works best for you? And for a lot of people, you know, if you're shopping online, if you live in a state where you can get things delivered online, then pick the very best and buy a couple of boxes of it. Make sure that it functions well in your firearm. I'd recommend firing at least 100 of them through your defensive firearm, so then that way you know it functions well and it hits to the point of aim. You want the point of impact to equal your point of aim with that particular ammo. So if you had a gun that it cycled it reliably, but it hit well off point of aim and another ammo didn't, especially if you got iron sights and you'd have trouble adjusting them, well, you'd want to pick the one that was more accurate to your particular gun in all likelihood. That would be the biggest requirement, right? Now, if you're running a pistol mounted optic, you're running a red dot, you can usually adjust to where the point of impact of the bullet is. That's a good idea. And so you'd want to choose instead the round that performs objectively the best, and especially because you're choosing this when you're under the cool light of reflection. But if you live in a place instead where you can't get ammunition delivered online, like looking at you, California, and you got to get it from your local gun store, sometimes you're just limited to what your local gun store has in stock, unless you've got a local gun store that you can say, hey man, I want to buy maybe 250 rounds. I want to buy 5 boxes of this. Can you get it in for me? And sometimes they'll do that for you. But if they won't, then here's the thing. You might take a look at this and you go, gosh, man, where can I pick this ammo up? Listen, man, you can use the Googles and go online. And I suppose, of course, I should say I'm wearing a MagTech t-shirt. MagTech has been a sponsor of Active Self-Protection for a long time. Every bit of range ammo that we shoot at Active Self-Protection is MagTech. And we overwhelmingly shoot 9mm, some 5.56 as well, some 12 gauge. But that is for all of our range ammo. For defensive carry ammunition, I am a free agent. I have no relationship with anybody in the defensive carry ammunition space. And MagTech does make a defensive ammunition. I don't know if they actually import it to the US right now. I'm not positive of that. There's one load that I think is okay from MagTech for defensive ammunition, and I love MagTech. I mean, their range ammo is amazing, and we absolutely just eat it up and shoot it like crazy, and we put something like 50,000 rounds a year through all the ASP staff, including at the ASP National Conference. People come, and when they come to our conference, some of them buy the ammo there. They buy the MagTech that we have there to shoot, to do their thing. And so we run through like 50,000 rounds of it a year, and it just runs and runs and runs. It's really incredible stuff. Now, all that said, my trusted resource, okay? So again, Richard Mann knows a thing or two, and I think this article has some interesting discussion as to why. And maybe that's a trusted resource for you. My trusted resource, on the other hand, is Lucky Gunner. Lucky Gunner's ballistics lab is, I think, truly fantastic. You can see here, just putting up a picture of their 9mm ballistic testing results. And you can go read. I put a link to the ballistics lab, and they put a whole thing about here's all of our procedures, here's how we did it, here's why we did it. And here's what we found in 5-shot groups of all of this ammunition that we offer and sell. So they sell all of it. And of course, Lucky Gunner is a sponsor as well, right? So do I send people their way? Yeah, absolutely. But this resource from Lucky Gunner doesn't require that you buy from them. It's publicly available for anybody. So I don't care where you buy your stuff. Go look at the resource. This is an incredible resource. In fact, excuse me, it's one of the reasons that I love them as a sponsor is they invest profits into doing stuff like this, which was a very expensive test that they update regularly when they can. They got a ton there of everything from 22 long rifle now, 32 H&R, 327 Federal Magnum, 38, 357, 389, 40, 45. They have all of it there, and all of those loads are tested. Now, they're tested in clear gel, which clear synthetic gel is a little different than calibrated gelatin, okay? So generally speaking, rounds will penetrate just a little more in clear synthetic gelatin than they do in calibrated FBI gelatin. So What we say is that, I mean, when you shoot Jello, Jello is not an equation to a human body, though it's calibrated to provide a similar penetration results, right? It's not saying it's going to penetrate 12 to 18 inches in a human. That's their standard, 12 to 18. Really, 15 to 18 is their ideal. What it really is talking about, you know, if you shoot a bad guy, he's got his hands up like this in a gun, and it thinks about it going through a forearm and going through maybe 4 or 5 inches of forearm, then back through the air, then back through the heavy clothing and into him, right? So they do these with the heavy clothing test. They do it with short barrels, long barrels, and those things. So I'll give you my advice here at the end. And again, go read Richard's article. And if you find his argumentation compelling, cool, man. Like, that's great. I'm not going to be at your gunfight. Use what you want. Carry what you like. I think in any of the service calibers, 9, 40, 45, if you're going to carry those, and the overwhelming majority of people carry 9mm now, right? Like 9mm has won the caliber war. It's over. And it is over, right? There are a few holdouts that are still loading 40. Those are rare. And, you know, just a very few 45. But in all the service calibers, 40, 45, 9mm for sure, if you're shooting something other than Federal HST or Spear Gold Dots, I kind of want to know why. Because they absolutely have the best performance objectively. And there are others that are acceptable for sure. But in terms of best, I mean, I just think they're the best. And in 9, in 40, and 45. For me personally, I load 147 grain Federal HST. I have for years. I have no relationship with Federal. Federal has never paid me a penny. They have never sent me a single round of ammunition. I know Chris Locke at Vista, who owns Federal Spear 2, and he's a good dude. And they're engineers, and they're those guys that are making bullets and bullet designers. Those guys are nerds, right? And they are really, really smart. So here's my recommendation. Whenever I see, oh, here's a new round, here's a new load, I just go back to the ballistics lab at Lucky Gunner and I say, how did it perform? You know, I miss the days when shooting the Bull 410 here on YouTube, if you're watching this on YouTube, used to make videos like this. And he made some really interesting ones. And in fact, if you're going to carry a 380, I would go with his testing and go with probably the Precision 1 offering of the Hornady XTP bullet, not the FTX, not the flex tip bullet like they use in the critical defense, but their XTP bullet in especially the Precision 1 loading in 380 is really good and actually meets the standards pretty well for defensive use. I miss his stuff. I think you know, he just retired. He just decided he didn't want to do it anymore. So those are good here on YouTube to get some objective data. And also, I just think the Lucky Gunner website is my absolute go-to resource. But I thought it was interesting to run into in outdoor life. I'm an outdoorsman as well. I like hunting occasionally, and so I keep up with that stuff. Seeing Richard, man, kind of dive into the world of defensive training was pretty cool. So my question for you is, what do you carry? And in particular, I want to know, I mean, I really do. I'm not trying to, you know, start flame wars here, but I want to know if in your defensive handgun, you choose something other than Federal HST or Spear Gold Dots. Why? Why is that your choice, and what makes it so useful for you? Because I know exactly why I carry the HSTs, because through the heavy layer, the heavy clothing test, they don't clog, and so I'm not worried about clogging on those, and they penetrate to that 15 to 18 inches with maximum expansion. So the highest level of expansion with the kind of that sweet spot of 15 to 18 inches of penetration that I want. And therefore, I just really think they're the best. And that's why I carry them. But what is your rationale, and what's your kind of criteria for carrying your ammo, recognizing I'm not going to be at your gunfight. So you carry what you want. And I'd like to thank Richard, man, for putting out this article so that we can talk about it. Go and read it over on Outdoor Life and maybe leave him a comment over there and thank him for writing it. Would you? Hope you have a great day.